Hello guys, welcome again to another video. My name is Kenyan. For those who don't know me, today we'll be taking you to one of the most artistic places in Nairobi, the art gallery. Come along with us. We shall be showing you beautiful artistic displays as we appreciate our artists for the good work they've done. Of course, you will really appreciate this video, and kindly comment, guys, subscribe, and come along with me. Art galleries or art museums are basically rooms or houses built and designated for display of art. Long time ago, art galleries were used to display art as a symbol of wealth by kingdoms and spiritual purposes by churches and temples. Many years later, now they are mainly used to display the talent of artists and help to preserve the culture of various communities across the world. Today I walk you into one of the most beautiful art galleries in Nairobi City, the Circle Art Gallery. We are visited one of the most artistic places called the Circle Art Gallery here in Kenya, Nairobi. I'm going to show you some of the artistic designs and some of the interesting things done here. So let me show you, and I'll get to explain much further what is going on here. So guys, we are in one of the fashion exhibits. We are looking at different fashion styles from different countries in Africa. We've seen Tanzania right here. This is from Tanzania. We are also having another one from which place? This one is from which place? From Togo. We have Togo right here behind me. This fashion style is from Togo. It's right here. And you can see, you can read there what it means here, you know. As we were looking at art on the other side of the room, the visitors who had met early in the museum had already started learning about the origin of art that was being displayed. So we joined them and gave the explainer all our attention and ears.
So when Timama was the Minister of Culture, he gave access to the archives to a handful of designers, I think 5 or 6. And Patricia, who is a Taita woman, went into this archive and for the first time saw with her own eyes Taita beadwork. Something that she had never seen except in sort of like a few photos and really just heard about. And that moment for her was a difficult moment because then there's many things that she had to confront.
The explainer tells us about a Taita tribe designer known as Patricia, whose art was inspired by what she saw in the National Archives about her own tribe beadwork. Patricia pushed herself in decades to design her own beadwork art in order to also conserve the Taita culture and traditions.
And that's really the moment that shaped Patricia's view and involvement and pivot into beadwork. South Africa is one of the largest importers of wool and mohair in the world. And before Laduma sort of set up its brand, there weren't that many South African brands that were using locally available wool and mohair. So these two pieces are both made in South Africa and woven from a combination of linen and wool. Here we have 2 pieces by Kiko Romeo. I think many of you would know Kiko Romeo, Kenyan brand in existence since 1996. Started off by Anne McCreeve, and now her daughter's taken over as creative director, Iona. And this sort of like hand-painted textile was something that the house developed quite early on. It's a collaboration with a Sudanese artist called El Tayeb, who's based here in Nairobi. So El Tayeb takes these, or rather we see from Kiko, these yards of cotton cloth, and then he paints them using bleach. The motifs on the textiles are a combination of motifs from Turkana and Sudan. So again, you see some interesting marriages of indigenous motifs from different places to create and sort of like be homed in a singular garment. And so here we're looking at the coat as well as the textile. On the left, we have a look by Emmy Casbit, who's been operational for a decade now, just celebrated 10 years, I think 2 weeks ago. And this was the very first Akwete suit that Emmy made 8 years ago. Akwete is one of many indigenous Nigerian textiles. What's interesting about Akwete is, one, it's one of the few textiles from West Africa that are woven by women. Most other textiles like kente, like baule, like ashoke are all woven by men. Akwete is woven by women. Cartouche, East African design by nature is a lot more minimalist. If you look at design from Kenya, from Ethiopia, from Uganda, there's often a focus on cut and shape and sort of like technical details, and then that always takes precedence over the material. If you look at Cartouche's entire body of work, especially from when she started between 2013 to about 2017, most collections were either black or white or grey or a combination of all three. And one of the main questions that Cartouche faced was, as an African designer, why is your clothing black, right? Which then, of course, raises some of the questions that we talked about in the beginning of like, what makes African design? What is African design? If an African designer is making clothing out of black fabric, is that somehow not African design, right? And so this focus on line and technical detail and minimalism really still continues to sit central in Cartouche's practice. This is a look from her most recent collection, where she's interested in how much we use wool. Wool is not a material that we see used in Kenyan fashion often, also because we're a tropical climate, we don't really need wool. But we produce a fair amount of wool, especially in the Limuru, Tigoni area. So because we don't use that much wool, a lot of that wool will either end up going to making rugs or just being thrown away. So Cartouche worked with a weaving studio based here in Nairobi called Siafu, and they made this really beautiful textile that's actually based on a Kamba folk story around the guinea fowl and the chicken, and how the guinea fowl tricks the chicken into being domesticated. The last look that we have is a look by the Nigerian brand Sigo. So Bubu is a Nigerian designer who's really interested in working with indigenous materials from across the continent. So every season she'll pick a different material and focus on that and really flesh out its expression. For this season, which was SS20, she decided to focus on bark cloth, which is also known as lugbo, which is cloth found in Uganda and was developed by the Baganda Kingdom. It's literal bark cloth. It comes from tree bark, and the way that it's developed is the bark is stripped, the cloth is hammered into really thin sheets, and then sort of like used. Because it's tree bark, quite often the sizes are quite limited. It'll, on the higher side, be like a 12 by 12, and sort of like vary downwards, maybe a little bit upwards. So for any sort of like larger pieces of clothing, it has to be from this sort of like patchwork technique.
After learning more information behind the creation of fashion art exhibited, we couldn't hesitate to appreciate the work done by artists, most of whom have gone through a lot of problems to produce such amazing products. These artists help preserve a sense of the African culture and showcases it to the whole world to see and promote it for recognition and appreciation. Learn more about the Circle Art Gallery. I'll put a link of their website in the description below. Check them out and you will enjoy the pieces of information and stories behind the wonderful art. And for your information, it's actually free no entrance charges unless you want to buy their art. Thank you for watching, and let me see you in the next video. Guys, now we are from the Circle Art Gallery. It was interesting, amazing, different artistic fashion styles, displays, exhibits there. And if you like the explanation from one of the artists, guys, and if you like what we have just shown you there, kindly subscribe. And again, let's see you in the next video, hopefully next one. See you.